Good morning from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your forecaster Jeff Monk looking at the planning outlook for the week or so ahead. I've got a few isobar charts to begin with. This is Thursday's. Lots of isobars generally coming from west or west-northwest to east-southeast across the country, closely packed together, and that means widespread upland gales. In fact, I'm using this chart for both Wednesday and Thursday that show very little difference in the isobars. If anything, they're much closer together in the far north of Scotland on Wednesday, where the upland gales may well approach storm force and may be just below gale force across lower summits in Wales. But by Thursday, slight shift in that the stronger winds will be a little bit further south. But what this chart does not show you is anything about the temperatures. On both days, the air will have come from northern Canada, but by Thursday, it will be very much colder indeed. Indeed, considering it is a westerly, the air really will be very cold and will result in considerable snowfall. On both Wednesday and Thursday, shower after shower will come in off the Atlantic, primarily onto western mountains. On Wednesday, down to lower slopes across western Scotland, but generally higher slopes further south. But on Thursday, right down to South Wales, only the valleys at times will not have a covering of snow. Temperatures in most valleys will be just above freezing point, particularly in Wales, where it'll be a couple of degrees above, but generally speaking, so close to freezing point that when the showers come, snow and hail settles, and there will be thunder as well. Indeed, on Thursday, probably the focus of the precipitation, there'll be a lot of it, will be across southern Scotland and mountains near the Irish Sea. At times, as I say, showers one after another, realistically merging one into another with blowing snow on the mountains, giving almost constant precipitation and whiteout. So let's have a look at the effect of the snow. This is actually Wednesday evening, and across the Scottish Highlands there will be an accumulation of snow, a little bit across the southern uplands, a little bit across the higher Lake District, and this model probably fails to account for some of the peaky western mountains, so there'll be by then a little bit over the higher summits in Snowdonia. But if we jump 24 hours, it is a very different story. The snow will continue to accumulate over the west and northwest highlands, some of it reaching the east, but it is across the southern uplands, the Lake District, the Pennines, and much of Wales, and even down into Dartmoor and Exmoor, where there will be an accumulation of snow on all high ground. And as I say, there will be areas where the precipitation is sustained, albeit showery in character. There will be a lot of hail, there will be thunder as well. Probably especially near mountains as close to the Irish Sea, so some very severe conditions. If we jump now to Friday, probably on the face of it, it doesn't look very different, but actually the isobars are a lot more spaced out. It will not be as windy, and this will have an impact. The air will remain just as cold, but the impact will be that as the showers come in off the Atlantic into the western northwest Scotland, they will be more focused on western mountains. They'll probably get into Galloway, they'll get into the western Lake District, down into the southern Pennines, the Peak District, where they'll make considerable inroads across North Wales, and then probably the southeast corner of Wales, enjoying considerable shelter. If we look at the eastern side, it's something of shelter across the central highlands, but the more eastern Cairngorms, down towards Hills Deeside, Loch Nagar, and down across Angus, depending on that precise wind direction, may be prone to the curtain of snow showers and down the east coast. So we end up by Friday by having a ribbon down the spine of a country where there is relatively little fresh precipitation, and it is not as windy. Nevertheless, still a lot of precipitation where it does occur broadly around the coastal areas, and probably a ton coming in from the Irish Sea across the Isle of Man into northwest England's southern Peak District, depending precisely on the wind direction. So by Friday evening, we still have a curtain of snow across most upland areas. If anything on Friday, Wales, down towards Dartmoor, Exmoor, probably a slight rise in freezing levels, which means that the lowest areas just above the valleys, will tend to have a decrease in the amount of lying snow, but elsewhere it will remain in place. So what of the weekend? It does look as if this push of very cold air is short-lived, but there are doubts of the weekend. This is a model that by Saturday evening has more or less westerly winds, but one or two of the other models do not bring the westerly winds in quite so fast and have more of a ridge of high pressure still left on Saturday evening, Saturday night. But nevertheless, as the winds are less strong and back more westerly, so whatever, freezing levels will gradually rise. It's more just how quickly they will rise. In other words, how soon we will begin to lose snow on the summits, and probably across the Munros of Scotland we'll lose very little at all, because the freezing levels will, whatever, rise only slowly. Finally, we'll have a peep into next week. As far as next week is concerned, there's going to be a great deal of dry weather across England and Wales as pressure builds yet again across the near continent. Winds are primarily going to be in the south or the southwest, bringing, if you like, reasonably mild conditions, and that means that from time to time freezing levels may just be below the highest summits in southern Scotland and England and Wales. The Scottish Highlands, particularly the west and northwest Highlands, will be wetter. There will be a mix of snow and rain, with freezing levels oscillating but generally confined, or areas below freezing point confined to the higher slopes. But these will be the wettest areas. There probably will, though, be considerable thaw of lying snow, particularly on lower slopes. So do enjoy your next week or two on the mountains.